If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Okay, it must be Friday because we get to talk about strategy and tactics. Okay, so if you have not listened to my conversation so far with Pam, you need to go back to Monday, to at least the first episode of these three, and listen to this whole story, because we're wrapping it up today. And she has perfectly segued into each of these conversations when she's talked about some of the details. But today we get to talk about strategy and tactics. So Pam, welcome back, first off.
Thank you. Good to be here. Happy Friday.
And let's get into some of these details now. We've talked about mindset. We've come into this impact and innovation, and you've taken this process so beautifully and attached the human connection to this very logical tool that you use in your business. Now, how have you, when you mentioned last time, I loved what you said when you said that when bookkeepers come to you and they present how they're going to speak about something, and you go back and you say, nope, reword it. Tell me, what is the overall strategy you help people create for their businesses?
Mm-hmm. So the best way to explain this is probably to talk about sort of my protocol for working with a client. And I think this would work for anybody in a technical situation. Two key components. One is lead with yes. And the second is listen. So the first thing we do is I have them, like when I first meet somebody for the first time, even if they used to call me Hallway Pam, because people would come to the speeches and I'd have like this center that people were supposed to come to afterwards, but they'd never pick the finance corner. But then I'd be walking down the hall and somebody go, hey, Pam, can I talk to you about my problem? And so we'd sit down and talk. Well, the first thing I do is just tell me what you're thinking and just listen. Literally within 5 minutes, I can have dissected the finance piece that needs to be handled. That is so irrelevant, right? I know technically what has to be done to help that person fix that issue. But what I really want to get under is what's driving this, what got them to this point. And it's not, there's some reason that they've let this happen. And we talked about this briefly in the last episode. All of those reasons filtered through one of four things: shame, fear, overwhelm, or not enough time on their plate to deal with it. And we have very practical tools that I can pull from this tool chest to help them bridge from that state into this thing I know they need to fix them. And, it's a hallway conversation. I basically just need to tell them what to do and get them through why they need to do it. And that's really what we do. So there's a cure for each of the four ills, so to speak. And that's what we work with. The second thing is, entrepreneurs 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, have a very good gut feel for the finances in their business, even if they're ignoring them. So I'm going to give you an example of that. And I had one client who said, I know that if I do A, B, and C, this is going to come out to $1 million. And I said, no, it's not. I got to go figure that out. This was early on, right? Before I realized what to do. This is why I say lead with yes.
Yes,
so, no, it's not. Let me go work out. Don't do anything. Let me go figure this out for you. Right. So I went and figured it out for them. And then sure enough, I did the math and it came out to like, $990,000. And I went back and I went, you're right. You were off by $10, but you're right. But what I learned from that person, bless her heart, she's also a mentor, so she took it very well, is that they really know what moves their business in their gut. They just haven't been able to translate it into something that they could show a banker, or that they feel confident they can stand in the room and say, I have a financially successful business, to their employees or to their customers or to whatever. Yeah. So lead with yes came from that experience. Whereas if somebody says to me now, hey, I want to try X, Y, and Z, even if I know either it's a long shot or it's illegal or unethical, I lead with yes to say, hey, tell me what you're trying to do here. Let's find a way to achieve your outcome.
Right.
And those two tactics alone, almost everybody I've talked to has said no bookkeeper or accountant has ever said that to me before, ever.
Nope. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, you can't do that because. I was like,
yes.
what's your outcome that you're after? Let's figure out, so the lead with yes has been huge as a tactic, but literally, but I think that would work for anybody. It would work for marketers. It would work for, lead with yes and listen, just listen.
Yeah.
The story's there.
That's brilliant. And I really have to emphasize that because you're right. Most bookkeepers or accountants or whatever other title you want to use, they're looking at themselves as the problem solver. Right. I know the answers because I've studied the law, or I've studied the technology, or I've studied the thing. I've studied the books. I've gone to school for this. I've learned this. So people come to me for answers, and I have to be certain in my answers and back them up with law or whatever. Right. That's most of the bookkeepers and accountants. That's what they do. That's who they are. That's how they identify. Yeah. You don't identify. Yeah. You don't identify that way. You identify as a not just a problem solver, but a helper, a person who's going to help someone reach their vision.
Right.
Those are two very different things, right?
Yeah. And I have to go back and credit, we talked about this on Monday, but I have to go back and credit the leaders that I worked for in my corporate career. Yeah. I don't know how I got so lucky, but the combination of those people taught me what I'm able to do now. The other stuff, the academic stuff, the technical stuff, you just learn by doing the job. But that's, I think, what allows us to kind of stand out a little bit differently is that particular tactic, which anybody can implement today.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we start with a strategy, which I love those 4 things. And give me those 4 things again. You talked about the reasons that they're not, right? So that's what these 4 things are. These are the diagnostic. These are the diagnostic tools.
You can remember it was SOFT, SOFT. It's shame,
gosh.
overwhelm, fear, and time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So you take that strategy of the soft formula and say, okay, which 1 or 2 do these fit into? Because it could be more than just one, right? It's not just shame, right? It could be shame and time, right? So you take that strategy, that overall diagnostic, and then you get into the details of the tactics of solving that. So you kind of hinted on that a little bit. Can you take one of them and just kind of take us through some of the tactics that you might use to help someone get over that?
Yeah, so I'll take one of the objective ones because it's a little less cumbersome than the psychological ones, which get a little tricky. But let's take time, for example. So somebody goes, I really want to know my numbers. I just don't have time. Every time this manifests itself, but every time I look at it, it doesn't make sense. So I kind of just shove it in a drawer, and I'll look at it next month, and I'll look at it next month. And finally that drawer just fills up and up and up. And then it's a closet, and then it's a house full of, reports you never looked at. So I kind of lead with, if anybody hands you a piece of paper with a set of numbers on it, throw it away. It's no good to you. But what can solve this issue and what can make this the most valuable use of your time ever is if we can put those numbers in context. And there are 2 contexts that are relevant. One is over time. So very simply, have your bookkeeper or your accountant or whoever gives you your stuff, put 12 monthly columns on a page. The minute you do that, there's a story. You can look at that and say, oh, I sold less this month. Oh, that's the month I raised my price. Maybe I raised it too much. I sold a lot that month. Oh, that was when I increased my marketing. Did it do what I thought it would do? All of a sudden, this one sheet of numbers that you don't understand becomes a storyteller. And you can learn exactly how to get it presented to you in a way that makes sense. And it's very simple. If you just have a bookkeeper, just say, give me 12 columns. Let me see it's called the trailing 12. Let me see the last 12 months of numbers on one page for every line item. Because if you think about this, right, revenue is one line item on their profit and loss statements, one of the key financial reports. Revenue is how they make money. Well, there's only 2 things that drive revenue. 2, quantity and price, right? So I can say, here was the quantity I sold that month. Here was the price I sold it for. Here's the quantity I sold. Now, these are levers I can move in my business. I can raise my price. I can lower my price. I can add stuff to my product. I can do these things. So that's just one very specific example. The other context there too is versus expectations. So we just talk about, when we deal with fear, the benefit of a forecast and how easy that really is to put in place. And then don't just look at a sheet of numbers that said, I made 10, I spent 5, I had 5 left over. That means nothing. But if you would put on that piece of paper ahead of time, I think I'm going to make 12 and spend 5 and have 7 left over. And now you're comparing it to, I made 10, spent 5, have 5 left over. Now you can say, oh, that happened in the make 12. Why did I make 10 instead of 12? Oh, I raised my price. And it tells the story. So it's pulling the story out of the numbers in a way that speaks to that entrepreneur. Some people want pictures. I have one client who wants to see every bit of the detail. When I'm in a file doing the sausage making, they want to be over my shoulder. Cool.
Great.
But others go, don't ever tell me a number, just show me a picture. And all that is fine as long as they're getting the same story. So our job is to translate those numbers into that story. And if their issue is time, that's usually what it is.
Oh my gosh, that was okay. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that again. And I know everybody listening to that, look what Pam just outlined. She took that one concept of, I don't have time to look at this. Not even adding in the fear or the shame or any of those, because I think those are probably related to that, because really what's important to you, you're going to find the time to do. So okay, fine. Let's just say I really don't have time, and it really isn't time. It's not being presented to me in a way that I can quickly and easily digest what's happening and then make decisions. So
Bingo.
You took that and you said, okay, and this is exactly what I do. I have a spreadsheet for myself, and it's a 12-month thing. And I look at where I'm going, what I need, what I think is going to happen. I put in forecasts, and then I look at what actually happened and make decisions based on that. And it's okay. Every single one of us, if you're a coach, if you're a course creator, if you're an e-commerce entrepreneur, whatever you are, whatever you do, if you sell memberships, if you sell subscription boxes, doesn't matter what it is, you can take that formula of time that Pam just outlined, and you can personalize it. What we talked about last time, which is innovation. You can innovate it for yourself. Or you can hire someone even better, like Pam, to do that for you, and then present it to you or present it to yourself in a way that makes sense. So that, I think with that in mind, I think I'd be one of those 10,000 people on the call saying, finances are fun.
It's exactly right. And it's funny, all those things you listed, I've got at least one client in each one of those areas. And I have recorded a lot of them doing kind of one-off, but I'm like, someday you're going to have to get on the screen with 999,000 other people, because it is fun, because all of a sudden your dream, you can see it emerge in the numbers, not just in the impact you're having on your clients, which is always gratifying, but in the numbers, which is important. And people often say to me, well, I'm a not-for-profit. Even if you're a not-for-profit, I'm on the board of a not-for-profit. The fact that we can get $2 million worth of donations is because we know what's going on in our numbers. And we need $2 million worth of donations to do what we do. So
because you're able to pull those levers. First off, you know what the levers are, and you're able to manipulate them to be able to get the outcome that you're looking for. I don't care whether it's not-for-profit or for-profit. It doesn't matter. You're still trying to make an impact in the world.
And every entrepreneur knows what their levers are. They just haven't been connected to the numbers.
Wow. Okay. That just brought it all home for me, Pam. That was so amazing. I'm so happy that you were able to take that concept. We started with mindset, for criminy sakes. And when we're talking about finances, people don't usually do that, right? So we started about mindset, and then we went into the impact and the innovation and how we can take those disparate pieces and bring them together and use them to innovate our own lives and the people around us. And now we've got an amazing strategy, that wonderful soft, and we can look at the details, the actual tactics of them. I can't wait. If you want to find out what the other tactics are other than the T for time, then you can reach out to Pam, and you'll be able to see all of her contact information at CEOmischiefmaker.com, and you can definitely get deeper into Pam's world. And I highly recommend, obviously, from our conversation, that you do. Pam, it's been brilliant. Thank you, dear.
It's been awesome. Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank you for having me on. I love what you're doing with this show. You actually took me through a much needed exercise in my own business with this podcast. So one of the things I'm going to do is go through and work that into our strategy process. It's amazing. And I'm glad you're doing this for the world. We need it.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit CEOmischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.